Welcome to Sunday with Mike. On today's show, we're going to cover even more topics that have been submitted for the February Topic Idea Contest that we have going on right now. If you haven't already joined the Sunday with Mike Facebook group, you need to join and submit your topic right now before you run out of time. The best idea that gets submitted will win some goodies from the Disc Jockey News. This week, we tackle how to organize your music library. What size speakers should you use at your events? Gig safety, and some odds and ends. So grab yourself a cup of coffee and join me. I'll be right back. Hi, and welcome back. Mike Monteith asked a few questions in the group, and this is another one of his. So he wants to know, what about organizing your music library? Well, Mike, this is kind of like somebody asking which drawer should you put your socks in a brand new house. This is such a personal decision that it's really hard to suggest something that's going to be a one-size-fits-all. What has worked really well for me over the years was an idea that I came up with to place all of my Billboard Top 40 songs in folders by decades. So I start with the 40s, and then I go 50s, 60s, etc., all the way through 2010. And that works really well for me for many reasons, but mostly when I want to play from a certain decade. You know, if a client tells me that they like music from the 80s, I only have to open one folder, and all of the hits for the 80s are in that one folder. For the current songs that came out after 2010, I have another folder called Radio where the newer hits are stored. Once we get to 2020, then those songs will be moved into their own decade, and then that radio folder will be ready for 2021 and beyond. There are times that I wanted to create music sorted differently. I wanted different folders. So, for example, I wanted a folder called Disco. So for a long time, I would copy the songs that I wanted into such folders, but then along the way, I realized that instead of making more duplicates on my hard drive, all I really needed was a shortcut to the actual song in its normal folder. This may sound complicated, but it's really not. And by using shortcuts, you're only taking up a fraction of the space, and it points to the original song, and the play counts stay accurate and all that sort of stuff. I also created some other miscellaneous folders for oddball songs. Like, for example, I have one called Kids, and songs like Let It Go from Frozen is tucked away in there. I also have a sound effects folder for some things that I do occasionally. And then I also have seasonal folders like Halloween. It's not really important to anyone else how you keep your songs organized. So just think about the type of events that you do and what will help you the most for whatever kind of stuff you do. Then implement that plan. You know, if it doesn't work out, it's no big deal because you can always move those songs around to suit your needs, and the only thing you've lost is a little bit of time in the process. It's just all part of the growing process and what works best for you and your needs.
DJ Event Planner will change the way you manage and run your business. Streamline all of your procedures and software into one easy-to-manage system. DJ Event Planner, the ultimate online planning tool.
Lance Beauchamp from the Sunday with Mike group wants to know, should he use 12-inch or 15-inch speakers at his gigs? Wow, Lance, this is a really good question. And since I have no idea how large the rooms are, how many guests are present, and other factors, how many square feet is the room, it's really hard for me to know for sure. So let me give you some general guidelines, and maybe it'll help some others too. The older passive systems do not have the overall loudness that today's modern powered speakers have, right? So Class D powered speakers are the brand new technology, and those are louder than non-Class D powered speakers, and that's louder than the old passive stuff. So I used to use some powered 15s, but they weren't the Class D, and a friend of mine was selling some EV ZLX 12s, which are Class D powered 12-inch speakers. And those 12s were every bit as loud as my older 15s were. I was quite surprised, to be honest with you. So I have a whole new respect for Class D. Normally, when you are pairing speakers up, you would use a 12-inch top and then a 15-inch bottom, or a 15-inch top and an 18-inch bottom. The bottoms are usually the next size up. So if you own a couple of different size systems, then you can always add more cabinets if you need to cover a larger space. I mentioned in a previous show that if you had any older passive gear, you should hang on to it because you aren't going to get very much money by selling it. One of my favorite cabinets is the old PV SP4Gs. They had two 15-inch woofers and a horn, and they worked out great. I still own 3 pairs of these along with a pair of SP2s, which is a single 15 and a horn. So stacking these up for huge coverage is a breeze, and I can just use 1 pair, 2 pairs, 3 pairs, plus the SP2s, and stack them up however I need. So whether you use passive, active, or both, you need to always think ahead and ask yourself, how can I scale this system up and make it bigger to suit all of the places that you need sound for? So Rob Hensley from the Sunday with Mike group wants to know, what about gig safety and stretching your body before your events, loosening up? Rob, you bring up an interesting topic that I've never covered before, and I can't say that I've ever seen anyone else cover this on a show either. Safety should be a big deal at all of our events. All it takes is for one person to trip on a cable, and you will find yourself in a legal battle that will not be any fun at all. So how can we be more safe? Well, mostly use good common sense. Look at your setups and look for things that somebody might trip on or knock it over, and then that would fall onto something or could damage any of your equipment or a venue or a person. So do whatever you have to do, but be as safe as possible. Knowing that many of our guests at the events are consuming alcohol, you want to make sure and go above and beyond and take a really hard look at this stuff, because you can't look at it from what the average person would do. You have to think about it from what would a person who is under the influence would do. Be sure that you tape down any wires or doormats over any cables that'll be crossing a pathway that anybody would be using, including yourself. You don't want to trip on your own cable. Bring to the attention of the venue anything that you notice that needs repair. For example, a loose or cracked AC outlet or the plate that covers it. Are you doing any stretches before your events? You should be. Most of us forget to use these simple rules that are designed to help us, and we all know better, like bend at the knees when you're picking stuff up, but we just don't do it. What about using a back brace when you're loading in those heavy sub cabinets? I don't own one, but now that Rob's brought this up, I'm thinking about getting one. Just ask yourself on your next load in, how can I take care of my body and make sure that my entire setup is safe and secure? Apply common sense rules to your setup and make sure that everyone is safer. had a few loose ends that I wanted to cover today before we wrap up things. You know, if you have a website that uses admin, A-D-M-I-N, as either the username or the password, do yourself a favor and change it immediately. Right away. Just take the time and go do it right now. Every day I see more and more people talking about getting hacked on Facebook, on websites, and you name it. So if you're using admin for either the username or a password, you are giving half of your security away. So this is a really simple fix, and in fact, you should be changing your passwords really often anyway, remember? Don't set them and forget them. Keep changing them around and get rid of admin. The other thing that I wanted to discuss is older music. Frequently, I see things in groups about how can I get older music because the pools and other sources sell today's music, but getting the older music, and especially in bulk where it's cheaper, seems to be escaping a lot of people. So the very best value for your money is to find CDs at pawn shops and other garage sales and start backfilling those holes in your library. If you buy the greatest hits CD for $5 from somebody, and a lot of time I've seen them for $2.50 and $3 a piece, you're paying a fraction of what these songs would cost you anywhere else, especially online services. I'm bringing this up because just the other day I read an article that said Best Buy and Target are both considering removing CDs from their shelves completely. And like most other media, CDs will eventually go away, and it will make it much harder to backfill your music collection once the rippers are gone and the CD players are gone. So start working on any areas of your library that you may be lacking while CDs are still plentiful. So that's going to be our show for today. I hope you'll share it with some of your friends and give me your thoughts down in the comments section. And don't forget to give us a thumbs up. I'm saving a seat for you in the Sunday with Mike Facebook group, and you just have a little bit of time to submit your topic idea for February. We have one more show coming up, and then John will pick the winner, and we'll make the announcement on the first show in March. I'll see you next week.